2 days ago, Sayadaw spoke about the first of the 5 factors of one who is striving, padani anga. And it said, sadohoti, tathagata sabodhing. So that means that one has faith in the qualities of the Buddha and so on. And this faith, the faith has 4 types. Sayadaw mentioned last time. And faith, or saddha in Pali, is very important. Among the 4 kinds, Sayadaw explained, agama saddha and adhigama saddha aren't our concern right at the moment. Adhigama saddha comes about as a result, and agama saddha is what arises in beings such as the Buddha to be. So it isn't related to us. It isn't our concern. The types of faith that that exist in ordinary people are Okappana saddha and Pasada saddha. Adhigama saddha, that which it comes as a result, is not yet our concern. When faith is awakened, then we plant it, we develop it, cultivate it, and slowly it becomes strong through the cultivation. And if it reaches maturity, then one goes from observing the stream of continuously arising and passing away mental and physical phenomena, rupa and nama, this continual arising and passing away, stream of arising and passing away is called pavata. And one goes beyond that to the cessation of this stream. And then one will understand that there is cessation of nama and rupa, of mind and matter. And one will come to firmly possess, one will know that this is true in a penetrating way and firmly possess faith. So this is not yet the concern of the yogis. But we need to understand that this is there. This is one type of faith. And faith is very important. So, trust, faith, Okappana, the faith that is called Okappana. We need to have faith in the knowledge of the Buddha. Tathagata sabodhing, in the great knowledge that the Buddha came to realize, which basically is the knowledge of the Noble Path. At the beginning, the Buddha was a worldling. He didn't have this knowledge. He was a putujana. And he fulfilled the paramis, the perfections. And when these perfections were mature, he left home and he practiced. He practiced the method of satipatthana. And because of his practice, Vipassana knowledge developed stage by stage. And at the end of this, he realized the 4 stages of path and fruition. He knew them one by one. Knowledge arose one by one. But not like yogis who have to practice for a long time in order to reach the stages of the path one time and then another time. He realized all these stages of knowledge, including the 4 stages of path and fruition, in one sitting. So one has to have faith in this accomplishment of the Buddha, the great knowledge that he came to realize. He practiced and he gained these 4 noble paths. So one has to understand that it is necessary to believe in this. For ordinary people, on just hearing about the qualities of the Buddha or the Dhamma, the Sangha, one has a faith that is not yet strong Anapana sada yet. It is not yet strong, informed faith with knowledge. And therefore, that faith can waver. It isn't firm. And for one who reflects a lot, what is this? Why is this? Then it's hard to have strong faith, because that reflection tends to make one's faith shake. So if one hears about the practice and does it, one will come to know that Satipatthana practice has 7 benefits. But without practicing, one won't come to know this. So one won't come to have strong, informed faith. So if one doesn't trust in the qualities of the Buddha, one won't then trust in the Dhamma. If without trust in the Buddha, one won't have trust in the Dhamma, much less in the Sangha. Therefore, this informed faith, Anapana sada, won't arise. But there will be pasada sada, or clear faith. This is clarity just on hearing. The clear mind that arises when one hears something, when one hears about one of the Buddha's qualities, for example. And this type of clear faith, it occurs in children, young children, and it also occurs in older people who are not intelligent, and it occurs in animals. And this type of clear faith that doesn't have any knowledge involved, whether it occurs in an animal or it occurs in a human being, it's not very much different, because there is no knowledge involved. So for that reason, one needs to understand about what type of knowledge the Buddha gained. He practiced and he eliminated all the mental defilements. There were no kilesas, no mental defilements left in his being when he became the Buddha. And he could know whatever he turned his mind to. There was nothing that he could not know. The reason for this is because he eliminated all the defilements, including lobha, greed, dosa, anger, and moha, ignorance. So he gained this omniscient knowledge, sabanyutta jnana. He gained it by eliminating all the kilesas. So the cause for what brings about eliminating the kilesas is path knowledge. So these 4 stages of the path that the Buddha realized eliminated all ignorance. In particular, the 4th stage brought about the complete elimination of ignorance. So therefore, the closest cause for the Buddha's omniscient knowledge, or sabanyutta jnana, to arise is path knowledge, or in particular, the knowledge of arahata magga, the last stage of the path. So, speaking about the qualities of the Buddha is done to those who know the qualities of the Buddha and to some extent, and have faith, have trust in this. So, for those who waver about the Buddha, who have doubts about the Buddha, or who have doubts about the Sangha, then the Dhamma is what the Buddha taught. And there's the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. If one has faith in one of these three things, it's enough. So, because if one has faith in either the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha, then one will have the desire to practice, to gain the results. And if one practices, that practice will reach fulfillment. So why that is because if one knows the method of practice and one has faith that with this method one will surely reach the end of old age, sickness, and death, then one will practice. And later, eventually, one will practice respectfully and carefully. So only if one does this, only if one practices respectfully, will faith develop in stages. So the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha are called Saddaya Vatu in Pali. They're things that are worthy of faith. And those who know the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha, whether to a large extent or to a small extent, their faith becomes strong to the extent they know about the qualities of one of these three. For faith to become strong, it's not just through knowing what the qualities are of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. It's through applying the practice, developing effort to observe the arising object, sati, and samadhi. So this is the samadhi, the training of samadhi. When this samadhi group, virya, sati, and samadhi, becomes strong and mature, then knowledge develops bit by bit. And the strength, our strength, and the strength of virya becomes stronger and stronger. Especially when we reach the stage of Uddiyabbiya Jnana, it becomes very strong. And at that stage, our effort is not just called virya anymore, it's called pagaha virya, which means that it goes up with momentum. It keeps on going up. It doesn't let down. It's uplifting energy. So where does this strong virya energy come from? It comes from having faith. From having faith in the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha. So for Westerners who may not find it easy to have faith in individuals, then if one has faith in the Dhamma, it's enough. And if one, to the extent that one has faith, to the extent one's faith is strong, one's effort will also be strong. Especially when faith becomes developed through knowledge. This arata virya or pagaha virya, when it reaches this stage of effort that continues to go up because of the knowledge that one is coming to know, this effort doesn't go down. It doesn't slack. And later on in the practice, it becomes what is called paripona virya. That means fulfilled effort. It reaches completion. And then the strength of one's virya is said to be complete or fulfilled. When one gives priority to the Dhamma and practices, applying ardent effort to observe the arising object, the mind falls collectedly on the object. And when our effort has momentum, then we start to develop knowledge, starting with the discernment of nama and rupa, mind and matter. We come to see that these two are related as cause and effect. And relevant cause leads to relevant effects. So when we start to see how mind and matter are related as cause and effect, then doubt is overcome. Before practice, one didn't know if there was a life before, if there was a life after. But when one sees how things arise due to causes, this cause gives rise to that result, then one can understand that what is happening now is due to causes that existed in the past. Before this life, there was also a life. And as long as this cause and result chain continues, there will be results, there will be future lifetimes also. So when one understands about cause and effect, one overcomes one's doubts. Especially when one sees the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, one's faith in the Dhamma becomes very strong, and one understands the quality that the Dhamma has of being Sudhamma, of being the good Dhamma. One understands that it truly is something which lifts one up, and which dispels dangers, which protects one. So this is the quality of Sudhammata, being the quality of being the good Dhamma. So one feels when one practices, especially at this stage, one sees that these things, mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, just now they arose, just now this arose, and now it's passing away. Just now it arose, and then it passed away. So one sees that this truly is the right path, because one is developing knowledge, and one understands that the Buddha too walked this path. So the quality of the Buddha becomes apparent because of one's practice of the Dhamma, because one starts to see the Dhamma. It said, Dhammang passanto mang passati. The Buddha said that one who sees the Dhamma sees me. And when one comes to know just a little bit about the Dhamma, one comes to know about the Buddha too. And further, one comes to know that the Dhamma was well preached, because one can see the results that come about. One understands too that I myself, I practice this Dhamma, and I gain this knowledge. I reach this stage. And the Sangha too, they are those who have practiced well. So because of one's own practice of the Dhamma, one understands about the Sangha of beings who have practiced this same Dhamma well. So although one is not yet a noble one has not yet become a noble one is still at the stage of seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, so not an Arya yet, but one sees the Buddha and one sees the Sangha. One comes to understand, too, that before this lifetime, there were previous lifetimes. And following this lifetime, there can be other lifetimes as long as the cause is there. Further, one comes to understand, when one sees that relevant cause leads to relevant effect, one understands that because of good causes, good results come about. Because of bad causes, bad results come about. So when one sees the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, faith arises too. This is faith that is informed with knowledge, is developed through one's knowledge. So only when one reaches the stage of Arya, being an Arya, when one realizes path and fruition, what does one's faith become absolutely firm. But before then, when one perceives with knowledge and becomes satisfied and decides, this is the quality of faith. So first of all, one develops knowledge. And then the clear faith, Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, arises again at a new level. So this is how faith develops through knowledge. But this faith is not blind faith. This clear faith that develops following upon one's knowledge, this is decisive faith, and it's called Adhimokkha Sayadaw. When knowledge is not involved, then it doesn't lead to this type of knowledge. Faith that is not involved with knowledge is kind of a different category. So this Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, this clear faith that arises due to our knowledge, is resultant faith. So and it causes the mind and the mind states that arise together with it to become well developed, to expand. This is the characteristic of faith. The characteristic of faith is that it is decisive, and how it functions is it functions to make the mind and the concomitant mind states occur together with it. It makes them expand. And how it appears in our mind, it said akalusya pachupatana. It manifests in the mind as making things clear, as clarifying. And the closest cause for faith to arise is sadeya vatu, that is things that have good qualities, that are worthy of our faith. And in this case, because of faith in the Dhamma, we are practicing the Dhamma. And through this faith in the Dhamma, with the practice we develop knowledge. And this knowledge brings about further faith. So faith in something trustworthy, like the Dhamma, is what causes faith to arise. So just through undertaking the practice, because of faith in the Dhamma, undertaking the practice, when one develops knowledge, one comes to understand more and more about the qualities of the Dhamma. And also one comes to understand who the Buddha was, and also the Sangha of people who have practiced the Dhamma. One comes to understand too about lifetimes, that in the past there was life, and in the future there will also be life as long as causes exist. And one also comes to understand about karma and its results. So this type of faith that develops through the practice is Okapana Sada, that is faith with knowledge. And following upon this faith with knowledge is clear faith, Pasada Sada. So in order to develop both these types of faith, one has to practice. And with knowledge, these two types of faith develop stage by stage. Regarding how this faith increases, so faith arises due to hearing about the qualities or benefits of the practice of Satipatthana, reading about them. So because of this, faith wakes up, because of hearing about the practice. But at this stage, faith is just awake. But if we cultivate it, if we cultivate this awakened tada, faith, with the practice, then we gain purity of mind. And we come to see how phenomena arises and passes away quickly. So our faith develops through our practice because we gain the benefits of the practice, beginning with purity of mind. So then the qualities of those things which are worthy of our faith, called in Pali Saddhya Vuttu, the things which have these qualities, which are trustworthy, especially the qualities of the Dhamma, become clear. And one comes to accept that the Dhamma is true. Especially when one reaches the stage of Uddiyabhya Jnana, seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, one's faith becomes decisive. This is called adhimokkha. One decides, this method is the right way. And this knowledge, the knowledge that one has at that point, becomes the basis for the further stages of knowledge. So faith continues to develop as knowledge builds. But this is still Okapana Sada. This is still faith that is informed by knowledge. And when one's faith becomes mature, then one will reach the end of the path, and one's faith will become firm. So at that point, when one's faith becomes firm through realizing path and fruition, then even if someone comes and tries to bribe you into disowning the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha, or they threaten you, or even if you hear someone who is a really good preacher, your faith will not be shaken. So also at this time, one will know even more about the qualities of the Buddha who taught this Dhamma, and about the Dhamma, that it truly does bear one, it truly uplifts one. So, and about the Sangha, those beings who have practiced according to the Dhamma and realized, gained true happiness. So the faith that one develops at this time is a clear faith that is born out of knowledge. And one is sure to gain this if one does the Satipatthana practice. If one doesn't practice, then one can have faith, but this faith is only the type of faith that makes the mind clear. It doesn't have any knowledge involved. It's just the faith that is the clarity of mind that arises just on hearing or just on seeing something. So this type of faith that is not involved with knowledge occurs in children and even in animals. So this type of faith, the clear faith without knowledge, doesn't have any understanding about the qualities of these things which are worthy of our faith, sadeyavatu. And with only this type of clear faith that lacks knowledge, if one hears someone who can speak well, then one is likely to follow that person. And one can adopt a belief that is not worthy of faith, that is worthless. This type of faith in something that is completely unworthy of our trust is called Vipassana. This is a type of, it's not only called, it's worthless. It's faith that is completely worthless. It's also blind faith. It's faith in something that has no value at all. And when one gets caught up in such a belief that is not worthy of our faith, it's not easy to extract oneself from that situation. So it is not enough just to have faith, blind faith that is clear. One has to develop knowledge and the faith that comes from knowledge. One needs to continue to develop faith, informed faith, and the faith, clear faith that results from knowledge until one's faith becomes firm. So one needs to try to bring this about. It is guaranteed that one can gain this in this lifetime if one practices. So please try accordingly. That's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.